On the windswept heights of Mount Sinai, Moses stood alone, enveloped in clouds and thunder, in the very presence of the divine. Here, he received the Ten Commandments, etched in stone by the hand of God himself. These sacred laws were not just a list of do's and don'ts, but a profound covenant, a binding promise between God and his chosen people. In that moment, Moses became the bridge between heaven and earth, entrusted with a message that would shape the destiny of a nation.
These commandments are more than mere rules. They are the foundation of a new way of life. They offer a vision of freedom, justice, and righteousness, guiding a people who had only known slavery into a future of hope and purpose. Each commandment is a step on the path to becoming a community defined by compassion, respect, and faithfulness. For the Israelites, this was a moment of transformation, a chance to leave behind the chains of Egypt and embrace a new identity as God's people.
But while Moses communed with God above, the scene below was far less serene. At the foot of the mountain, the Israelites' initial awe and wonder began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of anxiety and uncertainty. Days turned into weeks, and the people grew restless, their eyes fixed on the forbidding peak that now seemed to separate them from their leader. The mountain, once a symbol of God's power and promise, now loomed over them like a silent judge. Its dark clouds and rumbling thunder became reminders of their isolation and fear. The very place that had inspired hope now cast a shadow of doubt.
40 days is a long time to wait in the harsh desert sun. Each day felt longer than the last, and every hour tested the limits of their faith. Hunger, thirst, and uncertainty gnawed at their resolve. The promise of freedom began to feel like a distant memory, and the silence from the mountaintop was deafening.
As the days dragged on, their patience wore thin. Whispers of doubt spread through the camp like wildfire. Some questioned whether Moses would ever return, while others wondered if they had been abandoned in the wilderness. The unity that had carried them out of Egypt began to fracture under the weight of fear and impatience.
What has become of this Moses? Has he left us for good? The questions echoed through the camp, each one chipping away at their fragile hope. Without their leader, the people felt lost and vulnerable, unsure of what the future would hold.
He led us out here to die. The frustration boiled over, and anger replaced faith. Some began to grumble openly, blaming Moses for their predicament and questioning the very journey that had once filled them with such promise.
The waiting became a crucible, testing not just their faith in Moses, but their trust in God's plan. Each moment of uncertainty was a challenge to their courage and unity. In the silence, their fears grew louder, and the temptation to give up became almost overwhelming. This struggle is not unique to the Israelites. It is a struggle familiar to us all, the challenge of waiting, of holding on to hope when answers seem far away. In those moments, our patience and faith are truly put to the test. As doubt and fear took hold, the people began to falter. Their unity unraveled, and their faith wavered. In the crucible of waiting, they began to fail spectacularly, setting the stage for one of the most dramatic turning points in their journey. Whispers of discontent grew into a roar. The Israelites, used to visible gods, struggled with an unseen God.
He has been gone for so long.
Fear spread, and they demanded a tangible God.
Come, make us gods who will go before us.
They regressed to idolatry, craving the familiar comforts of Egypt. This mirrors our own struggles with faith in the unseen. The allure of immediate substitutes is powerful. Aaron faced a demanding crowd, his leadership faltering.
Take off the gold earrings and bring them to me.
He underestimated their panic, and they eagerly gave their gold. Aaron crafted a molten calf, reminiscent of Egyptian gods.
These are your gods, O Israel.
They transferred allegiance from God to a lifeless statue. Aaron's compromise under pressure led to great sin. True leadership stands for what is right, not what is easy. Aaron's failure was in compromising faith. Leadership requires courage and conviction. With their new idol, the Israelites' anxiety turned to revelry. The fear and uncertainty that had gripped them in Moses' absence melted away, replaced by a contagious excitement. Laughter echoed through the camp as the people, desperate for comfort, clung to the golden calf as if it could answer their deepest needs. The air was thick with anticipation, and for a moment it seemed as if all their worries had vanished.
Tomorrow there will be a festival to the Lord. The leaders proclaimed a day of celebration, inviting everyone to join in a grand feast and ceremony. The people gathered, eager to participate, believing they were honoring God in their own way, even as they strayed from His commands.
They tried to sanctify their sin, but God cannot be worshipped through disobedience. Their rituals, though passionate, were empty gestures, attempts to blend their desires with devotion. The golden calf stood as a symbol of their impatience and their longing for something tangible to worship.
The people rose early, full of false energy. Eager to begin the festivities, they hurried to prepare offerings and adorn themselves, swept up in a wave of excitement that masked their inner emptiness.
The solemnity of worship was replaced by frenzied excitement. What should have been a sacred gathering became a chaotic celebration, with music, dancing, and laughter drowning out any sense of reverence.
The golden calf offered instant gratification, a hollow celebration. The people cheered and feasted, but beneath the surface, their joy was shallow, a fleeting distraction from their spiritual hunger.
The revelry was a symptom of a deeper spiritual sickness. Some faces betrayed unease, as if they sensed that this celebration was built on shaky ground, and that true peace could not be found in a golden idol.
They traded God's presence for a creation. In their impatience, they exchanged the living God for a lifeless statue, hoping it would fill the void left by their uncertainty. It was a festival of folly, with dire consequences. The celebration, though grand, was empty at its core, a warning of what happens when people seek fulfillment apart from the true source of life. On Sinai, God spoke to Moses with divine wrath.
Go down, your people have become corrupt.
God disowned them, their sin a profound violation.
I have seen these people, they are stiff-necked.
Moses faced a test, offered a new beginning.
Why should the Egyptians say, he brought them out to kill them?
Moses interceded, appealing to God's honor.
There's the sound of war in the camp.
It was the sound of idolatry, a people on the edge of destruction. As Moses descended from the mountain, he was met with a shocking sight. The people he had led out of slavery were now lost in wild celebration, dancing and singing around a golden calf. The air was thick with music, laughter, and the unmistakable energy of a people who had forgotten their recent deliverance. Moses, holding the sacred tablets inscribed with God's law, watched in disbelief as the crowd reveled in idolatry, their joy a painful contrast to the solemn covenant he had just received.
What did these people do to you that you led them into such great sin? How could you allow them to stray so far from the path we were given? Did you not remember the miracles we witnessed, the promises we made?
Moses' anger was not just human frustration. It was a reflection of divine wrath. The people's actions were a direct rejection of the gifts and guidance God had provided. In that moment, Moses felt the weight of betrayal, not only against himself, but against the very God who had rescued them. In a dramatic gesture, Moses hurled the stone tablets to the ground, shattering them at the foot of the mountain. This act was more than anger. It was a powerful symbol of the covenant broken by the people's disobedience. Refusing to let the idol stand, Moses seized the golden calf, burned it in fire, and ground it to powder. He scattered the remains on the water, erasing every trace of the false god the people had worshipped. Then, in a stern lesson, Moses made the people drink the bitter water mixed with the idol's dust. This was a vivid reminder that actions have consequences and that turning away from truth brings bitterness and regret.
You know how prone these people are to evil. They are quick to forget, quick to fear, and easily led astray when left without guidance.
While Aaron offered excuses, trying to shift blame and minimize his role, Moses stood firm. His decisive actions set him apart, showing that true leadership means facing hard truths and taking responsibility, even when it's painful. True leadership does not excuse wrongdoing or hide from conflict. It confronts sin directly, seeking to restore what was lost and guide people back to the right path. Through Moses' actions, the people learned a hard lesson. Idolatry comes at a great cost, and the path to redemption is paved with accountability and courage. The breaking of the tablets marked the beginning of reckoning.
Moses called for loyalty, and the Levites stood with him.
A painful judgment illustrated sin's cost.
Loyalty to God is life and death.
You have committed a great sin, I will go to the Lord.
Moses interceded, willing to sacrifice himself. God renewed the covenant, demonstrating grace.
Our God mends what is broken.
The story is about God's mercy and the path to redemption through repentance and leadership.